Bro, that is so cringe. Anybody who does copyright will copyright you for commenting on their content sucks. Like, so cringe. All right. All right. So cringe. Like, all of us content creators, like, who make content talking about other people's like videos or whatever, um should be able to use the videos and comment on them with fair use. But the fact that they don't let you, when the whole point of their videos is to stir up controversy. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point of the bullshit Jubilee videos, which is already like cringe, is that is to stir up controversy, is to get people talking about them, is to stir shit up and get people having conversations. So the fact that they're copywriting people for talking about it and watching their videos is so fucking cringe. It's so cringe. You should not be copywriting people no matter what. Like, if you're in this space, you should be dealing with, like, everything should be about fair use. And you should be able to comment on other people's videos. Like, they shouldn't be able to copyright you. This is ridiculous. Yeah, I just had to close it and reopen it since they fucking, I mean, this is ridiculous. Screw you, Jubilee. Screw you, Jubilee. Cringe. See, I thought you could because I've seen other content creators do it. I've seen other people do it, so yeah, this is so stupid. I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure if you comment over the video, it comes as fair use. Yeah, that's what I heard too. That if you are doing your own original commentary on it, that it can be fair use. So what's the problem, Donna? Also, I'm pretty sure that I have seen um a lot of people comment on Jubilee videos specifically. How do they get away with it? This is so dumb.
They would spend a fraction.
So Sarah McBride was misgendered the other day, and by some loser, and this is her responding to them misgendering her.
We will not take a lecture on decorum from a party that incited an insurrection.
True.
I appear to live rent-free in the minds of some of my Republican colleagues. I wish that they would spend even a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, thinking about how to lower the costs for American families. I wish they would spend a fraction of the time that they spend thinking about me, figuring out how to make government actually work better, rather.
True. They're obsessed. They're obsessed to distract. I'm going to Holy Venom, but I'm going to wait until 4:30 is when we'll be switching over to Rumble, and that's when I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it once we're on Rumble so I can unleash. You know how she calls herself Loomer Unleashed? Yeah, we're going to be more unleashed, okay? So I'll wait till we're on Rumble for that part.
Than making it work worse in order to prove that government can't work. They are obsessed with culture war issues. The Republican Party is obsessed with culture war issues. It is weird and it is bizarre. And the American people deserve serious legislators, serious elected officials who are focused on bringing people together to deliver real results for the American people.
They don't care about
games and not to engage in schoolyard taunts.
No, they literally don't care. Okay. Yeah, what hacks? More Israel first shit. Such a clown. I'm so tired of this troglodyte. These people are such losers. LOL. This is a joke. And if they were to do this, then it would be what I think is, if they were to do this, the actual end of the Supreme Court. Which might actually be a good thing, because I'm really tired of this hack Supreme Court masquerading as a serious entity. The Supreme Court is a joke. It's a scam. They're all corrupt. Like, just know that. The Supreme Court is a scam. They're corrupt. They're a joke. But if they were to do this, when it is so plain and clear in the Constitution that birthright citizenship is, like, a part of it, it would be so over the top partisan that I think it would be the final nail in the coffin for how unserious the Supreme Court is. So yeah, go do that. Go do that. Go ahead, appeal it up to the Supreme Court. And if they're to try to make this shit happen, it's going to cause chaos. And all it's going to do is put the final nail in the coffin of how no one takes the Supreme Court seriously, because this is black and white shit. This is very black and white. There's no argument about birthright citizenship. It is very black and white. Also, I like how they're like, we care about the price of groceries and getting things done and helping the American people and la 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 la. But then when it comes down to it, it ends up coming out that they actually only just want to be racist and make it so only white people can be born here. We care about the price of groceries. And then they're like, actually, let's focus on trying to take away people's birthright citizenship. Yeah. So when they go, we're not racist. We're not racist. We just want America first and to help Americans and blah, 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 blah. We love the Constitution. We love the rule of law. We're not racist. They don't. They don't. Because then they're like, they get into office and they're like, no one asked for this. Literally no one. No one was like, you know what? We really need to repeal birthright citizenship. No one. Literally no one was asking for this. And they're like, yeah, let's repeal birthright citizenship. Yeah. This is why also I can't fucking stand the Democrats, okay? Because the Democrats will be like, the Democrats refuse to run on and fight for things that are actually popular with people. Meanwhile, the Republicans will genuinely be serious about pushing something no one wants or asked for. Like, that's what's wild about it. You know what I mean? Think about that, guys. The Democrats won't fight for things like universal health care that people actually want, that are actually popular. Democrats won't fight for things that are popular. But the Republicans will go out and fight for shit and put shit in the zeitgeist that no one asked for. No one. No one wants this. No one asked for this. What can we watch on YouTube while I oh yes, let's watch this. I don't think that Piers, but do you condemn Hamas Morgan? I don't think he does copyrights. Embarrassing music.
Cancel culture, but always.
Who the hell decided that this music was okay? Who decided this music?
It's on behalf of beloved special ally Israel.
The Biden administration forbade
Embarrassing music. Oh my gosh, who did this? Yeah, this is crazy. Also, I don't think, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think Pierce, but do you condemn Hamas Morgan actually does do copyrights on things, which actually is good. It's not only fucked up in like bullshit, that Jubilee copyright shit, but it's also stupid because by doing that, you're getting less people to watch your shit. Like letting people without problem, you should be able to do it anyway because of fair use, but just allowing people to watch your shit and comment on it without problem is actually good for them because it brings attention to their channels by anyone doing it.
from coming into America.
Oh yeah, Biden's so tough on Israel. That's why
You're going to bring up Israel. He's openly making these threats against American citizens like myself here in the streets of New York City, joined by Israelis, and nothing is done about it.
One of her protests was so terrible and anti-Semitic that even AOC decided that she had gone too far.
You're brutalizing them. 58 years. You've kept them in a dark dungeon. And anytime they dare to oppose you, you cut off their water, you cut off... And you...
I've known Elon Musk for a very long time. He was, at the same time, an ally and a competitor.
Carlos, how rich are you? Elon Musk's Tesla, the world's most valuable car company, is in turmoil. The president is even selling them on the White House lawn to arrest its market meltdown. Musk says he's putting country before cars, but can he do both? Later on, I'll speak exclusively to Carlos Ghosn, the man known as the god of cars, who escaped fraud charges in Japan by fleeing the country in a box on a private plane. Now lives in Beirut as a fugitive. If that's what we're looking around for, well, frankly, what is? We'll begin with two special guests in the Uncensored studio. They both share a deep disdain for donor-driven politicians. They both have profound concerns about the state of our culture and the world we live in. They both have very different views on the solutions. Winston Marshall is host of The Winston Marshall Show, a battle-hardened survivor of cancel culture, whose many achievements include eviscerating Nancy Pelosi at the Oxford Union. Cenk Uygur is founder and CEO of the Young Turks, an uncensored legend who was not smuggled here in a box as far as I'm aware. And gentlemen, well, welcome to both of you. Winston, great to see you again here. Cenk, welcome to London. Welcome to the Uncensored Lair.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here. And no, I wouldn't have fit in a box. So
it's an extraordinary story, that guy, actually. I'm looking forward to talking to him. Let's start, Cenk. Donald Trump. We're 50 days in. It feels like every day, as it was the first time with Trump, is a massive story. A lot of people saying it's total chaos. He doesn't know what he's doing, etc. Many on his side coming out going, actually, there's a plan. There's always been a plan. And it's not chaos. And you're going to see the results of all this in a few months' time. What's your take on it all?
Yeah, I'm positive that there's no plan, but with a huge caveat. So I'll get to the caveat in a second. But first of all, he just doesn't know what he's doing. So he went out against Tom Massey the other day. And Tom Massey is one of the most principled conservatives / libertarians there are. I knew that if he went after Tom Massey, that it would be a major mistake because Massey has better bona fides than Trump does, even in MAGA world and in conservative circles. But he doesn't even know that. You don't know that Massey's the principled conservative. You don't know that that's the worst guy to target. And they don't. He's flying by the seat of his pants. And so, but by the way, I also have experience with Democrats gaslighting. They told us, oh, no. The Democratic leadership knows exactly what they're doing. They're playing four-dimensional chess. You simpletons don't understand it. You see, if you run someone who's super old and has dementia, they'll seem young and dynamic. I'm like, no, you don't know anything. It's all Wizard of Oz. The minute you pull back the curtain on Democratic leaders or Republican leaders, they're all fools.
So let me put a scenario to you. Because what Trump did in the first term, before the pandemic, was get the economy purring pretty nicely by common agreement. Here's a different scenario to you. That within 6 months, he's got peace in Ukraine. He's got peace in the Middle East. He's won the Nobel Peace Prize, or should certainly be nominated for it, because Obama got one for doing something that no one can even today tell me what he deserved it for.
He got peace in the Middle East? No, he didn't. There's not peace in the Middle East, bro. Why are we just making things up? Why are we just making things up?
And the economy is, well, after all the tariff mayhem and everything else, is beginning to really purr as it did in his first term. I mean, that could happen.
He could also win the Super Bowl and the World Cup. Okay, but that's your rosy hypothetical.
All those three things could still happen.
So look, no, there's one that definitely cannot happen, which is peace in the Middle East. Like there is a plan that I've told you about on the show many times where he agrees with what the Arab League says, easy path to peace in the Middle East. But the reason we can't have it is because Israel doesn't want peace. So they want to grab Gaza and the West Bank. So there's no chance Israel's going to say yes to peace. So that one's foreclosed. Ukraine and Russia, look.
Literally, that's the thing that everybody always forgets or like doesn't want to talk about is the fact that they don't want peace. Like, that's the thing. People will be like, they're working on getting peace in the Middle East. Meh. No, but they're working on a two-state solution. They don't want peace. They don't want it. And Trump is going to do exactly what the Israeli regime tells him what to do. Can we please dispense with this idea that Trump isn't a total cuck? Can we please dispense with the idea that Trump is not just a little bitch on a leash doing exactly what Netanyahu wants him to do? Please.
He actually got it done, though. Ukraine-Russia peace, and he really got a two-state solution. Of course, he would deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. And yes, Obama shouldn't have gotten one. But we told
also a two-state solution. Yeah, saying that he should get one because Obama got one, instead of just saying Obama shouldn't have gotten one, is ridiculous. Well, he got one, so he should get one. No. Also, the two-state solution thing is so outdated. Like, it's not even fucking possible.
Why did he get one?
Two wrongs don't make a right. Because they were so hyped up. They were so anti-Bush and Cheney, the whole world was, and they were right? And now even the Republicans agree and Trump agrees that Bush and Cheney were a disaster. The minute anyone came in, it could have been Mickey Mouse. It'd be like Nobel Peace Prize for not attacking a random Middle Eastern country. So that's why he got it, but he didn't deserve it, and he did the drones, etc. But the caveat's important. What Trump does is he A/B tests everything. So he'll try something, and then if it doesn't work, he'll say, "Oh, I'm doubling down the tariffs on Canada." Oh, stock market crash.
Also, a reminder of how full of shit MAGA is. MAGA will go along with any right-wing attack, imperialist attack on a Muslim country, and they only later will pretend to be anti-war. But at the time that it matters, they never are. Yeah, it was very easy for MAGA to pretend that they were becoming anti-war after the Iraq War, after 15 years had gone by. But when it actually matters at the time, they all cheer for it. They're all cheering for it right now. So just know that they're totally full of shit. It's all Johnny come late.
No, I'm not. I'm not. I said I'm doing only 25%. And he keeps flip-flopping because that's what he's always done, because he doesn't have principles. He's just trying to find out what's popular.
Well, he's also a deal maker. I mean, the thing about Trump, I think people often forget or deliberately choose to forget, is that at his gut, everything's a deal. Everything's transactional.
Here's Baduke Hamas Morgan is always in the business of defending Trump. He pretends like he's like a neutral arbiter and that he's just calling balls and strikes. He literally always, is defending Trump. Is always like, oh, hold on, this is all the reasons why Trump is awesome, actually.
I think he genuinely does want to make America great. I don't dispute that for a moment. How he does it is the way he sells real estate, or used to, right? Is everything's up.
He doesn't give a fuck about, quote unquote, making America great again. He cares about enriching himself. Like, at the end of the day, that is what Trump's core ideology really is enriching himself.
For negotiation.
He's a pragmatist, but he's also a disruptor. And I think that what we're seeing as we speak right now, the stock market's calmed down, although I think it's only just past where it was before it got the bump before his election win back in November. He disrupts the market and he messes about with things. And, look at Ukraine. As we talk, he has got the Ukrainians have agreed to a ceasefire, and it's up to the Russians now to come to the table. After everything we saw at the Oval Office, all of the...
And I was asked about that because I actually spoke to Trump the morning before the Oval Office bust up. That morning I spoke to him. And I was asked afterwards, well, come on then, this is obviously the end of any chance of peace there. And he's humiliated. I went, why don't you just hang on a bit, right? Because there's clearly a bit of method to the madness.
Well, likewise with the...
And it turned out I was right? Because they've been in Saudi Arabia. They've got an agreement
There's
from
some three-dimensional chess happening here. There's not a three-dimensional chess happening here, bro. Will I cover that? I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know what you're referring to when you say, are you going to cover that?
He's going to go back and see Trump in the White House. I just think with Trump, sometimes everybody throws their toys out of a stroller way too quickly. Just see what the plan is and see if it works. If it doesn't work, hammer him.
Likewise with all the upset about the Gaza plan, the idea that America would take over, that goes completely against his America First MAGA principles. And certainly he doesn't want to embroil America.
He's the one who said it!
But look what's happened since. The Arab nations have come together and said, no, we don't want America looking after it. And they put together this, $53 billion Gaza rebuild plan.
No, it may not work, Jake. I'm not saying for a moment all this is going to work. I just think when people look at Trump and think he doesn't know what he's doing, as you said, it's all chaos, blah, blah. I honestly don't believe that is the case. He's got some very smart people around him, not least Elon Musk. And whatever people think of Musk, when they say he's stupid, they're the stupid ones. He's one of the most brilliant minds in America. Now, he's a little odd, there's no question. By his own admission, he's a bit autistic. He doesn't behave in the way that we might normally expect our political leaders to behave, and he kind of is a political leader in a way. But what he's doing with DOGE, for example, I imagine that resonates very well with most Americans if they keep finding clear evidence of waste.
It's so pathetic what bootlickers they are to power. He's one of the most brilliant minds in America. Put your tongue back in your mouth, bro. This is embarrassing. Have some dignity.
American homeowners are at risk of a growing real estate scam, which the FBI calls house stealing. This is
subsidies out.
Until now. Your personal title expert, a $250 value just for signing up. Go to HomeTitleLock.com and use the promo code Piers, or just click on the link in the description. Make sure you check out the $1 million triple lock protection details when you get there. That's HomeTitleLock.com, promo code Piers, P-I-E-R-S, to get the protection and peace of mind you deserve.
Yeah, well, so the idea of finding waste, fraud, and abuse has been popular forever and ever. And in fact, Al Gore actually did a pretty good job in finding a lot of waste, fraud, and abuse during the Clinton administration. They cleaned it out, and Clinton was the last president to balance the budget. So there is waste, fraud, and abuse there. The place you would start is subsidies. There's like $30 billion in oil subsidies. It's just nothing but a robbery. I can show you robbery after robbery. Corporations pay money to politicians, and they get subsidies out. I despise it. So if that's what they did, they would be intensely popular. But what did he do instead? Oh, I'm just going to cut a whole bunch of people that came in last. I'm going to fire a whole bunch of people without even looking. And then that made it really unpopular. They've somehow found a way to make.
Exactly. That is true, because he's not doing a waste. They're not touching the fucking Pentagon. The Pentagon, the military industrial complex. In fact, they're raising the amount. They just passed that House CR. That House CR gives more money to the military industrial complex. Okay. That House CR gives more money to the military industrial complex. They're not cutting waste, fraud, and abuse in the fucking Pentagon or the oil subsidies. They're just cutting random newer staffers at like the Parks Department and like OSHA and like the Weather Service. Like, this is ridiculous. The whole thing is a giant fraud, folks. Fraud.
Fighting fraud, waste, and abuse unpopular. It's now at 37% and dropping in terms of DOGE's popularity. So there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. I mean, you can make excuses about autistic, et cetera, but I need a brother who can think through a plan. Both Musk and Trump are like, I'll just throw it up against the wall and see what sticks. Well, that one stuck.
Is Elon Musk, is he underestimating the difference between, or misunderstanding the difference between the business world in which he's been all conquering and the political world? In other words, some things may make completely logical business sense, but from a political standpoint, if you start to see the polls massively responding negatively, Trump's a politician now. He's not going to let that slide for very long.
Yeah, that's why he reined him in. So that's why I say he does A/B testing. He tries one thing. If it doesn't work, he goes to the next thing. And by the way, that is, to be fair to your point of view, that is a bit of a plan.
Yeah.
It's a plan to say, well, look, I don't really know what's going to work, but I'll try this. And if it doesn't work, I'll retract.
Well, what I think he's doing, Winston, I think he's trying to force action to be taken to resolve things that have been unresolvable, right? The Ukraine.
He's letting Elon Musk drive it into the ground so that the blame for the disaster will be blamed on Elon Musk and not on Trump. That's what Trump is doing. He's letting Elon take the fall.
War. I spoke to him a couple of weeks before he got inaugurated, and he was telling me that the Pentagon has said 100,000 people had died on the battlefield in the previous 6 weeks. 100,000. Oh, it's on both sides, right? He said it was based like a World War I killing field, with flat fields, and they're just killing each other all day long. And he said it has to stop. Now, did he have the one-day fix? Of course, he didn't. No, I don't think anyone thought he did. Has what he's done since hastened a potential settlement? I would argue it has. He's got Zelensky to agree to the parameters of a peace arrangement. He's got to persuade Putin. That's the big test. We'll see if Putin goes along with it, or what Trump does to Putin to make him go along with it. But I do see method there to what he's doing. Same with Israel. We're going to come to the Israel-Gaza situation a little later. But I do see, like the tariffs. He's always been on about tariffs, Trump.
Tariffs his favorite word.
I've known Trump 20 years. He's always had a bee in his bonnet about tariffs and about other countries ripping America off. And so he's saying, right, if you're going to do this to us, we're going to whack you. And they're all blinking.
Being in his bonnet, lol.
Yeah, I mean, I just would like to talk about tariffs because I think that's really important. As we're talking, a lot of what's happening in the stock exchange is because of his tariffs. Now, why this is really important is because he managed to appeal to working people in America, the forgotten, the Rust Belt, the flyover state people whose industries were gutted. I think we might have some agreement on this. These were left behind Americans, and they were left behind by globalism, by free trade across the world. They were the ones who suffered.
Indisputably.
Now, his ideas with tariffs, whether or not he can pull them off, we none of us can know whether or not
another
it will,
instance in
the
how
idea
Israel
is to bring back to
MAGA is so full of shit is that MAGA pretends to be America first, but then when it's clear that Trump is making decisions on behalf of the Israeli regime, they don't object. The only reason why the Trump administration is going after Mahmoud Khalil is because of the Israeli regime. That's it. The only reason why they just fired Adam Bowler, the hostage envoy, which we talked about this, you guys, in my last stream. We went over this. A lot of you guys were in the last stream as we went over this the what do you call it? The hostage Adam Bowler guy, when he was on CNN talking to Tapper Jake about the hostages, and he said the thing about us being our own nation and we're not doing things. We have our own interests outside of the Israeli regime, and he got fired. He just got fired. So they say they're America first, but then when they're doing things in the administration that are clearly on behalf of the Israeli regime, where's MAGA? Cheering it. Not pushing back at all.
I'm sure those industries encourage manufacturing. I would note Elon Musk has said he's going to double Tesla productions, increase manufacturing in America. This is done specifically for the working people of America. It's a reason why the unions, or at least uneducated unions.
He's a working class hero, Cenk.
No, nonsense. So look, here's the thing. Is he running as a populist? Yes, he ran as a populist. Yes, he talked about bringing jobs back, manufacturing back, etc. But what's he actually going to do? A $4.5 trillion tax cut for the richest people in the world, for corporate executives. The reason why they're doing all these DOGE cuts in a panic, chaotic way is so they can say, oh, no, it's okay. The DOGE cuts will cover the $4.5 trillion. Oh, it's okay. The gold card and the tariffs will cover the $4.5 trillion. When that's utter nonsense. You know it's not going to cover the $4.5 trillion. It's a giant giveaway.
He's totally right about that, though. He really is totally right about that. That is exactly, okay, what they're going to do. Yeah, he is right about that. They're not going to do anything to help regular working people. They're doing this as a distraction so that when they do these massive tax cuts for the rich and corporations and they transfer more of your money to the rich and 1%, in military industrial complex, they can turn around and go, oh, but we cut the waste, fraud, and abuse. It's all smoke and mirrors, folks.
Look, he's a bit of a Trojan horse for corporate rule. So he rolls in as a populist, he opens up the hatch, and then next thing you know, Elon Musk and all the tech bros come out of the horse and go, give us giant tax cuts, give us deregulation, fire everyone at the SEC, fire all the inspector generals. Why? Because we're going to rob the place blind. And then we'll give me a crypto reserve filled with junk. That makes no sense at all. So trillions of dollars in robbery headed in our direction. And who's it going to help? The average American?
Yeah, and he's right about that too. Trump is a Trojan horse because he codes as like this right-wing populist that's here to help you. But all he does is basically act as the front man as the rich and corporations rob you in the back. Like, they're just like, they're all in the back looting the place. They're all in the back looting the place, and then Trump acts as the front. And no, Brian, they're not pushing back, because if they were, then tell me why that guy was fired. And tell me why the deputy DNI that Tulsi Gabbard initially picked, they found out that he had criticized the Israeli regime, and then they pulled his nomination on behalf of Laura Loomer and the fucking ADL. They're not pushing back. Trump is a Trojan horse so that he can sit there and provide a front for the rich and the corporations and military industrial complex and the tech bros to loot the place. Because Cenk is right about this too. Why is it that they are doing a crypto reserve when they all said the point of crypto was that it was decentralized? They're doing it because they know that they're going to fucking crash it and they want taxpayers to be on the hook. Period. Like, Cenk is right about this.
No, it's going to rob the average American to help corporate executives. So let's be honest about what's happening.
Okay, let's say that's the worst faith interpretation of what's going on. Let me paint the best faith interpretation. It's a three-pronged attack. One, you clear out, and this is what's happening. You clear out federal waste. You clear out government waste, which they're doing. Musk says he wants to get $2 trillion out. I don't think that's feasible.
That's funny. If they were really so interested in clearing out waste, how come they're not going after the Pentagon? How come they're not going after the oil subsidies? How come they're not going after Musk companies? Musk gets a ton of corporate welfare from us. Gets a ton. Did you guys know that Elon Musk alone, not even counting all the other corporations who have contracts with the government, gets $8 million in taxpayer money every single day? Every single day. These people are not innovators like they claim, okay? These people literally get in the government, have meshed with the government, and use our taxpayer money for their corporate welfare. Like, this is what I need people to understand. We don't live in a free market society. We live in an oligarchy, a corporatocracy where you get your taxpayer money taken and given to them. It's all wealth transfer, folks. And look at the wealth transfer over the years. How the trajectory of wealth transfer has gone up more and more and more over the years.
Maybe he'll get $1 trillion. He says he can get $1 trillion this year.
Hang
on a sec.
Because you know he's not going to do $2 trillion.
Hang on a sec. So then the other aspect, the other foot of the stool, the tripod is tariffs. He's hoping to onshore manufacturing, bring back that to America. And the final piece is reducing income. Income tax, excuse me. The reason he wants to reduce income tax might be, as you say, or it might be, but by having all working people have more of their own money, keep more of their own money, they'll be able to spend it on things that they want that will encourage the economy.
No, that's always what they say. Supply side economics, my ass. Come on, this is the biggest trick on the not only just American people, but people all across the world. That's what they call it the laugher curve, because they laugh their ass off.
Wait, but honestly, why are people still trying to fool people into trickle-down economics when we saw just as recently as 2017 that everything that the libs said was going to happen from that tax cut for the rich happened? Everything happened. It did not create any jobs. It did not give all these middle class and working class people tax cuts. All they did was buy back their own stock. That's it. They used it for stock buybacks and enriched themselves and transferred it to the top 1%. Guys, that wasn't that long ago. That was 2017. Can people wake up? They just did this scam in 2017, and now they're trying to do it again. They're trying to do it again, and people are falling for it. Like, wake the fuck up.
The average guy who believes it. So the idea is trickle-down economics. We give all of the money to the rich, trillions and trillions and trillions. Later, they trickle all over you, and you'll have to thank them for it. No. So I guarantee you the $4.5 trillion is a robbery. That's robbery number one. I'm worried about robbery number two, which is crypto. So I don't know why we have a crypto reserve. The crypto guys told me that they didn't like the government. They wanted the government stinking hands off their crypto. All of a sudden, Trump said, they're like, no, buy my crypto, buy my crypto. Make the American taxpayers buy my crypto. No, I don't want your crap. You like your crap, you keep your crap, okay? But I don't need average Joe in Nebraska and Jane in Kansas buying your crypto for you, okay, in a reserve. So this is all a giant robbery. But the problem is by the time people find out whether I'm right, you're right, Piers, or you're right, Winston, it's going to be too late. The money's already...
Right. That's a good point, and it's totally true. It's like I was just talking about earlier about the scam crypto reserve. And what like a joke it is, like what a scam the whole thing is. And he's right about that, which is why I say I'm so disappointed with the way that Cenk has done this kind of like right-wing, like tour and backing down off certain things that he used to say or whatever, because it's really too bad and very disappointing because he is very good at being an attack dog and being oppositional to the people that should be opposed. So yeah, that whole arc has been very disappointing. But where you're right, and he's right about this. This whole thing is a fucking grift to transfer wealth to the top. And as he said, which is very unfortunate, by the time people realize it, it's going to be too late.
He's going to be gone.
Dispute that after 3 years of his first term, the US economy was in good shape. You don't dispute that?
No, I don't dispute that. But so you don't dispute that Biden's economy was also in good shape.
Well, one of the reasons Trump, I think, reacted so badly to the pandemic was he knew it was crushing the stock market, it was crushing the economy, it was attacking the very things he cares most about, which is money and the economy. He's a money guy. And I think that he felt awful about that. It really affected him. But for the 3 years, as I've said to him, for the 3 years.
So he lied. Oh, okay. So he was upset about the stock market and it really affected him. So he lied, which caused the deaths of a bunch of people. He told people to open the economy back up when it wasn't ready. Like, so full of shit. Also, if you're a Trump supporter, you're so embarrassing because right before Trump got into office, like literally right before his inauguration, he scammed his own supporters with a crypto scam. Like he fucked over his own fucking voters with a crypto scam. Like embarrassing.
He is up until that point. Actually, the US economy was in good shape. And that's why I think a lot of Americans went, you know what? I sort of back Trump on the economy. I may not even like him, but I kind of think he knows what he's doing on the economy. When you say he doesn't know what he's doing, I do dispute that. He's got some incredibly smart guys there around him. Yeah. I see them all the time. Like, these are smart people.
I get what you're saying. And, look, I'm fair about the facts.
I can't with the bootlicking.
So those 3 years were pretty good. So now you could say, hey, Cenk, that proves the case. But it doesn't prove the case.
Well, he might prove he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So what I'm saying is, look, that time there was an establishment that was in the White House.
Prove the case for who? Prove the case for who? The economy wasn't great for working people because every way that they measure the economy, yeah, that is true, Brian. They have been doing it they've been doing it since the Reagan administration, literally. And some people still haven't caught on. Some people are still falling for it. Like, wake the fuck up, people. It's been going on for 50 years. And like, I hate when they say, "Oh, it was great." Great for who? Because the things that the corporate world and the media measure as being good for the economy is not actually what's good for regular people. Most people are not invested in the stock market.
So they frustrated him in a lot of ways. Half the time they were wrong, half the time they were right. But they were the brakes in the car. This is a car without any brakes. So we're now in a Tesla with no brakes at all, almost a driverless car, and it's careening out of control because there's nobody to go, hey, brother, if you do 50% tariffs on Canada, the stock market's going to drop by 1,000 points. Everybody knows
But
that.
everyone knows this is all negotiation going on, these tariffs, right? He is negotiating from a very strong position. But he's the president of the United States.
But
He's the biggest dog. He's the biggest dog in the race.
But when I say 50 and then you say 25 within the same day once the stock market crashes, you look weak.
Do you?
Yeah, of course you do.
It depends what.
He does look weak because it shows that he's showing his hand. It's not a great negotiating tactic if you show your hand and everybody knows exactly what you're doing.
It makes everybody think, oh, he's bluffing. He's bluffing. We just wait him out.
A lot of the time he is bluffing.
He is often bluffing.
Right.
But the problem is,
right, so people can just wait him out.
I've met real estate. I've met New York real estate tycoons, and guess what? The art of the bluff is a real thing.
It is, but it's an art. If you bluff on every hand, you're going to get called, and you're going to lose all your money. Every poker player knows that.
He doesn't bluff all the time.
He does nothing but bluffing.
He negotiates all the time.
Yeah, he does. He does. Look, I don't mind the negotiation. And look, we've got a pendulum swinging.
Because I feel with you, Jay, you've gone on a bit of a journey with Trump. I think you're far less, I may say so, without offending, hysterical about Trump than you were before. I do think you've calmed down about it because I think you do understand, as I've known him a long time, always focus on what Trump actually does rather than what he says in any given moment, which may sound preposterous given he's the president of the United States. But look how much he talks, not least to the media. He's already done more talking, freewheeling chats with the media in America in his first 5-6 weeks than Obama and Biden did in their first 6 months, right? This is the guy who just chats away. He says the first thing that comes into his head a lot of the time. It's not presidential by the normal yardstick. But I think a lot of people find it quite refreshing.
So, Piers, the pendulum is swinging. So Biden and the Democrats did absolutely nothing. And they always brag about how they do nothing. Oh, there's nothing we can do, right? Now, Trump is taking nonstop chaotic action. Nonstop. It's a cyclone of action, right? So the country wants it, but they don't want it.
The people who find it refreshing at this point are just his cult followers. Because a lot of us find it exhausting. It's so exhausting. I'm so tired of it. Thank you. Oh, hey, old Boney Bird. First of all, thank you for that shout out and that reminder. And also, good to see you, old Boney Bird, because I did not see you earlier. So, yeah.
As chaotic as he's.
Well, the country's a bit like the stock markets. They're a bit freaked out by it. They don't quite know what to make of it. Stock markets are a bunch of headless chickens, right? We know this.
Yeah.
Right? Good and bad, right? They can fly up and down on a heartbeat of what they call
But we
confidence.
do know some things, Piers. We know that if you do a 50% tariff on Canada, the stock market's going to
If you genuinely think it's going to still be 50% in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
I doubt it'll be there in 6 days.
So you're asking the stock market to stop believing what Trump is saying.
I'm asking
He's
the stock
obviously
market,
lying all the
stock
time
market to
and bluffing.
basically remember that it's better to focus on longer term with Trump than in the short moment.
One more thing, Piers, but we now had 50 days. So you're right. I'm much more open-minded, and the left is attacking me for being open-minded. And I said, I'll hear Trump out. I'll hear Musk out. Are they really going to cut the Pentagon? But now the jury is coming in. Now they're saying, no, we're not going to cut the Pentagon. We were lying about that. We're going to add $100 billion to the Pentagon. Are we still doing the $4.5 trillion tax cut to corporate executives? Yes, we are. Are we now starting to arrest people for?
No. Jenk said the left is attacking me for being open-minded. No, the left was criticizing you for saying that you thought and pushing the idea that Trump was actually going to cut the Pentagon budget. And we were saying he's full of shit and so is his base. No, they're not. And who was right? That's what the left was criticizing you over. Giving them the benefit of the doubt and claiming that they were going to oppose him on military spending when we all knew that that was fucking bullshit. So you were giving him all this credit where it wasn't due and people were clocking you for that. That's what fucking happened.
criticizing Israel? Yes, we are.
Well, let's come to that, because that's a big story of the week, and we're going to be joined by another guest in a moment on this very point. But this is this guy Mahmoud Halil, who many think is now being held as a political prisoner. He fronts quite a radical group called the Columbia United Apartheid Divest (CUAD), which sympathizes openly with terror groups like Hamas and Hezbollah, and has called for an end of Western civilization. They actually posted. And we've got this. We are Westerners fighting for the total eradication of Western civilization. We stand in full solidarity with every movement for liberation in the global South. Our intifada is an intentionalist one. We are fighting for nothing less than the liberation of all people. We reject every genocidal, eugenicist regime that seeks to undermine the personhood of the colonized. And so it goes on. We're joined by Nadine Kiswani. She's been on the show, of course, many times before. Nadine, great to have you back. You're a pro-Palestinian, anti-Zionist activist of a group called Leader of Within Our Lifetime. So welcome to you. But let me start with you, Winston, on this. My only concern about this guy is that obviously when you read the wording of what this group that she fronts said there, it sounds on the face of it like a call for very violent action. Intifada, by definition, is violent. Others say that's not what he meant. He means the structures of Western civilization, which he believes are oppressive. Do we need more meat on the bone about what he has said, supporting directly Hamas and so on, to justify what many think has been an attack on his First Amendment rights?
Let me give you some more meat for the bone, as well as the statement you've read out. He has, that group, the CUAD, have put out various statements, including calling Operation Al-Aqsa Flood, i.e. October 7th, a, quote, moral, military and political victory. There are various statements across their Instagram, across their social media, across their Substack, making equivalent.
Sorry, I was having to clean my dog's bowl. But you know what's so ridiculous? Is if Piers But Do You Condemn Hamas Morgan takes the side of ICE, then you will definitely know that he is full of shit, which I think he will, because at the end of the day, Piers Morgan is a Western chauvinist. And so I think he will, because at the end of the day, he's a Western chauvinist and he will always take their side over free speech, even though he pretends to be pro-free speech. He pretends to be uncensored. I'm Piers Morgan. I'm uncensored. I'm against cancel culture. But then it's like, okay, then why are you trying to cancel this guy's speech? I don't give a fuck what he said. I don't give a fuck what he said. He has the right to speak freely. He has the right to speak freely. Anybody who is against that doesn't believe in free speech, period. Which, oh shit, I forgot to add Rumble. All right, we're going over to Rumble, folks. Thanks for joining. Subscribe to Rumble if you want to join us over for the rest of this stream where we finish this and we make fun of Laura Loomer. All right, everybody. Love you. Subscribe to Rumble. Support me on Ko-Fi or Patreon monthly if you can. Love you all. Free Palestine. Free Mahmoud Khalil. We'll be talking about this more in a minute. All right, everybody.